Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are from. I'm Sandeepa, your co host for this morning. And today we're very excited. The team career is here with you all. We've been talking about wellness, relationship, and a lot of things, but today we're going to talk about the things I think most of us are here for, and most of us have been running our lives from the day we have been turning 16 or 18. Career management is a lifelong skills. That's what I feel, and we've been doing that. Without taking much time, we have two awesome presenters today, which they will be conducting 45-minute session each. So let's start. Our first presenter is Jorge Carrillo from Mexico. Let's welcome with a warm hello this morning. He's in New Mexico now. Gorke is a Holigral method facilitator. Gorke provides the space and tools for people to self-discover, explore, and integrate those fragmented aspects that result from definitionary moments or trauma that limit our potential and capabilities to live a meaningful and fulfilling life. His experiences ranges from a deep psychological therapy to coaching, leadership, mentoring, creating learning development, developing and creating learning environments, innovation, and helping organizations to integrate high-performing teams. One of the facets of his work is vocational orientation, which is addressed from a holistic and integral approach to allow for natural emergence of one's true identity and calling for life. So let's welcome Gorke. I have attended his earlier sessions as well. He is an amazing speaker and he will transform you in different ways and make you think deep. So Gorke, the stage is yours. Let's welcome him.
Thank you. Thank you very much, my friends. Hello. It is an honor to be here, and I am very grateful for your presence here in this presentation, which will be about vocational orientation. I'd like to first Arafat, my gratefulness for being able to set up this fourth edition of the Mega Symposium. Such a tremendous task, such an enthusiasm, your trust in ourselves. So I'm very grateful as well for you being our leader. And with not further ado, let's explore this interesting subject. And we have been exploring recently different areas of life, which touches very deeply into our own development and our own paths in life. We have spoken about wellness, about leadership, relations. And in this case, my particular subject, I see it like the connecting sphere, the connecting line from these deeper aspects of our personality to this practicality in order to fulfill our professional lives. So my intention today is to bring you a deep understanding of our vocational orientation, or as I like to call it, the calling. So for not further ado, let's go to the presentation. Let me share the screen with you in this moment. Let me understand what's going on with, okay, I got it. Okay. I'd like to first give a context to this conference, and I would like to ask to our audience, what is it that you understand as or vocational orientation? What has been your experience throughout your life, and where do you see yourself presently in this particular subject or particular area of our own development? So if you would be kind enough to share in the chat box, which I don't know how to activate because I don't have a proper control here of my, okay, I got it. So I don't know if you would like to share a little bit about your experience. Thank you very much from Pakistan. I'm reading your screens right now. Okay, if there's anyone who would like to share, I would appreciate in order for us to build a common wisdom around the subject. So if that's not the case, let's proceed then to the presentation. Vocation comes from the Latin word vox, and we usually think about vocation when it comes to this subject on the possibility, on the ability for us to express our own through nature, our own voice, but not on, okay, I'm seeing that we have given mostly a job orientation or skills rather than education. Okay, perfect. Thank you very much, Roma. Thank you very much, Raman. So yes, as I was telling you, vocation comes from the word vox, and it means to express ourselves authentically. But not only that, it's about listening to a deeper voice in our souls in order to have a sense of purpose. That is why it is so important, the notion of orienting ourselves throughout the set of vocations that we might develop throughout life. This is why I call it this presentation, the calling. We all have a call in life, and the nature of this area of life, it's so important that we need to work diligently on it in order for us to manifest this calling. We all have this possibility of realization of how our higher potential, but also our higher understanding on who we are and why are we here. When I began working on this presentation, the idea of the vocational orientation touched very different areas of life. So I will share a little bit of statistics so we have a context on why is it that this is so important, both individually and also in the collective sense. Let me see this. Sorry, I'm going to disconnect from the. Okay. So I found that 1 in 3 new employees leave their positions after 6 months in their work. This is very meaningful because 1/3 of the working force recently recruited does not fit the possibility of developing further in that particular opportunity of work. In the field of knowledge workers, we have found that they are open to look for new jobs, and this ranges between 46% in Japan up to 63% in the United States. This is mostly in developed countries. We're thinking about England, France, Germany, Sweden. And if we have such a high rate of people who are in the field of a very sophisticated profession and they are not happy, this has to tell us something about their vocational orientation. These numbers are multifactorial. Nevertheless, we can do the right inferences given that the vocational orientation that we give into our lives will be the basic building blocks in order for us to fulfill our particular goals, our particular aspirations, or our particular needs. We have found that in university degree levels, the dropout rates are on the rise. I found that in Mexico, we are having a rate of 10% per year. And in the United States, it's up to 32%. This can tell us as well that the future generations are not finding their place in the world. They are struggling with the commitments in order to fulfill their own vocational calling. And even if they don't have it, they are having difficulties in maturing themselves into a particular set of proper decision making when it comes to their career decisions. We have also observed that globally the rate in marriages it's a reduction. It's in a reduction tendency, and this is mostly in the developed countries. What we can infer from this particular statistic is that people are having difficulties to commit in a romantic and family relationship for the long term. Engaging in a common set of values, common set of goals, aspirations, and also the way to resolve the challenges, it's quite difficult for the new generations coming. If we understand that family is the nucleus of our society, and we're not having the proper context in order to provide the right set of internal tools and social tools to the new generations, we might have a very challenging problems in our different cultures. This can be appreciated in different countries at the moment. So we can now understand probably from these numbers that particularly in these moments, it is important for us to have the right guiding systems in order to make the best out of our experience. And I'm going to pause for a moment, and I'm not having access to my chat box. So if there are any comments, I would appreciate if you could help me, Sandeepa, to let me know so I can address properly your observations or your inquiries. And please feel free to interact throughout the presentation as well. Okay, so we need to face the most important question, which is why, when we come to these realizations. Usually the question is made by professionals in the psychology field or in the scientific realm, or also in the spiritual inquiry world. But in different disciplines in the world, we don't question the whys. And it is very important because we need to face this question in order to proceed to a proper decision-making process in our lives or in our societies. We have to ask ourselves, why is it that this magnificent universe came to be? Why is it that from the void, an explosion of mass and gases created this universe, these planets, these galaxies, and why is it that there is life in this planet? Why is it that from this important diversity of life, we have emerged as the dominant species? And why is it that we are self-aware of our presence in this plane? And why is it that we are able to transform the world around us? Why is it that we are able to inspire magnificent paths of inquiry and creation? But also, we need to ask ourselves, why is it that being the receivers of such magnificent gift, we are creating a society who is developing mental conditions on the rise with high rates? Why is it that we are still fighting among each other? Why is it that the gap between the haves and the haves not are widening, although we're having the most interesting times in our lives? Why is it that we are having personal challenges to fulfill our needs? And the only answer to this important question that we can come through, it's this: we are disconnected. We are disconnected from ourselves, from our own true nature. We are disconnected from nature itself. We are disconnected seldomly from the people around us, our relatives, our significant others, our peers at work, our community. We are disconnected from them. We tend to be disconnected from the challenges and the problems and the opportunities that the world presents. And we take time in order to diligently act upon them. So we have to understand that if we are to orient ourselves in this magnificent and complicated world, we need to understand that there is a backdrop when we are going to have our most important decisions, which are vocational decisions. And it is important because this is the path into manifest our own true self, which is no small task, but is also the most fulfilling gift in life. So let's explore this backdrop because it's important to understand why are we who we are, and why is it that we are coming from where we are coming from. So this backdrop, in life, we have different stages, and throughout these stages, the requirements and situations we are experiencing will result in preferences, skills, biases, boundaries, and emotional patterns. We need to unconsciously negotiate between our own true self, trauma, and the impositions of the world. From the very beginning, we have to accept this. Society hinders our essential need for a healthy development. When we are born, we are developing through different stages, and these stages have certain requirements. When we are recently born, our most important requirement is to be connected to our mother, to be connected in order to be properly nourished and develop this sense of safety that comes from being attached to our mother. And then we move into a different stage in life in which the requirements will be to develop our motor skills, to explore the world around, to get familiar with the environment. And this will result in the first triggers of interest that we will find in our early ages. Then we'll have to join the social world. And as social beings that we are, we'll have to learn the social engagements, the social codes, the unconscious dynamics and games that they are being played. And this will give us a more sophisticated understanding and ability to develop ourselves in life. And so our interests, our skills, our biases will sophisticate and relate in a more complex way. Eventually, we're going to get to the point in which we're going to be full of hormones, living dramatic changes socially and individually as teenagers. Our brain is not fully organized and fully developed. The social pressure is very strong because we are trying to make a sense of our own individuality, and as such, we are rebellious, we are brave, and we are looking to explore even further the world around. And it is in this particular moment that we have to make one of the most, if not the most important conscious decisions in our life, to choose our path in our professional careers. Ideally, we have to understand ourselves in a way that we have the decision to study for certain time. So we are not very well prepared for this particular decision. And in this stage, we'll resort our professional skill sets in order to join the working force. And the new requirements will be dependent on our vision in life, our social aspirations, my need to have a certain income. I am interested to work in a particular location. Am I oriented towards outwards in the farm, or I'm more oriented into an office environment? And eventually, we will have also to begin a romantic relationship in order to begin a family. So as we see, we have all these different stages in life, and all of them will result in different interests, vocations, and talents, both conscious and unconsciously developed. But unfortunately, there comes the time from the very moment we are conceived that we have to negotiate between our own true self, which is a magnificent expression of the whole creation of this universe as you want to understand it. And we will be exposed from the very embryonic environment to the influence of the world around. And we will suffer trauma. We might have a not very fulfilling development in our mother's womb, or we might have it, and that will be definitory in the way I develop myself, both physically and psychologically. Eventually, I will be given birth. Birthing is traumatic by nature, and it will have definitory effects in our psyche. Eventually, I will have different experiences in life that will condition myself, and throughout these different experiences, I will be separated, disconnected from my own essence in a certain dimension. And I will have to experience the impositions of the world around. From the very moment as well I am conceived, I will be subject to receive the emotional and energetic projections of the world around. I will be influenced by my family and my ancestral influences. I will be defined by the social and the cultural impositions, ethnicity, religiousness, social status, and so on. And also, I will be forced to comply to certain social values, whether they are healthy or not. And unfortunately, these values are not very healthy. In a conventional world, and this is a broad generalization, of course, when we are born, we are separated from our mothers and we are taken to the nursery room where there is a lot of noise, there is a lot of light, we are barely making sense of our senses, and we are being aggressively separated from our mother. This is not healthy, of course. And then we have to join the conventional academic world. School is a dangerous place, my friends, because in many ways, although they give us academic knowledge, they steal from us important aspects. When we are young, we are inclined to exploration, to follow our own intuition, to be creative. But in school, we are trained to comply to the figure of authority. The teacher tells us what is the right knowledge to learn and when we have to learn it. He tells us when, he tells us why, and he tells us what for. And from that very beginning, we are trained to be complicit citizens, and then we accept willingly or unwillingly the conditions of a toxic social world. The nature of this world is through social unconscious games like us and them, bread and circuses, divide and conquer, economic permanent growth. These are the toxicities of the world in which we have to make sense of our own inner reality to discover ourselves to the point that we have to make the right or vocational decisions in life. So as you can see, dear friends, we're carrying a big load in our shoulders from a very young age, and we need to make these decisions. So the important way of making these decisions is to find the way back to the source. Let's explore what does orientation, vocational orientation means. When I looked at the dictionary, the word vocation, which is the key word here, the dictionary said that is the suitable feeling of someone to perform a particular profession or career. Of course, that is a suitable feeling we need to feel. Nevertheless, it does not give us the proper understanding of what we are talking about. So let's explore a little bit a definition. So vocational orientation is a process that has two sides. On the one hand, we have people who are seeking to orient themselves towards their own values, interests, commitments, objectives, and needs. So we have that from this backdrop we have explored, there is a driving force natural in our individuality that is seeking to orient toward this interesting set of internal structures we have created in our lives. And this will force, this creative force, is pushing very intensely, particularly in the early years or when we have certain experiences that trigger us towards put more strength into this effort. And on the other side, the vocational decision consists of the requirements of the world of work initially, to which young people are guided. So as we can see, there are requirements of a structure of the world that is offering to the newcomers to the working world experiences in certain kind of tasks, in certain environments, with certain demands. And sometimes it is such a force that it's opposing to the ones we are presenting in our lives. So the most important part of this process is to match these different aspects of our own experience. The vocational orientation, basically, it's a matchmaking game between these two sides of the same coin. When we grow older, we will have more sophistication. Of course, we're going to be more fragmented because we will have more experiences. We will have failures in our life. We will be laid off from one work. We will be probably interested in exploring our creative or entrepreneurial sides. So we have more information and we are mature in order to fulfill other vocations. Of course, we will have a set of success already there in order to commit to a different stage in life, like beginning a family, to incline ourselves to philanthropy, or even to spiritual realizations. So it is important for us to understand that we have to constantly try to match our vocational interests to the requirements of the world around. And for this particular goal, we need to understand that there has to be this connection. When it comes to the vocational orientation, I like to see this as an upwards evolutive process similar to a spiral. We can relate this spiral to the chakras if you are interested in that particular philosophy or way of understanding life. Sometimes, mostly when we are young, we are in a particular lower stage of the spiral. It is when we have to suffer a lot because we are clerks, trainees, we are learning a particular trade, and we don't have the resilience, we don't have the skills, we don't have the vision that it's needed in order to progress in a particular vocational choice we have. But eventually, through experience, through effort, we're going to rise upward this spiral. Sometimes we might be or might not be aligned in this process. The idea is that if we are connected, we have to fulfill this movement upwards. I'd like to share you an experience, personal experience. Initially, when I was in my early student years, I didn't know what was that I wanted for a professional career. So I was a little bit conflicted. I was not very, I wasn't finding the right calling. Nevertheless, I knew myself to the point that I had this inclination for humanities. My environment had this influence on me because my family and some friends, family friends, were very successful lawyers and politicians. So I thought that given that I had an inclination for humanities, maybe the safest choice would be to study law. It is a profession that is recognized properly. I have access, I have way to progress in the spiral process, in the corporate ladder, some may say. And I took this decision and I studied law. I felt myself quite happy with my decision. Eventually, I joined the working world. I worked for the Justice Ministry for several years, early in my young time. And unfortunately, I found myself in a very toxic place, a place that was primal in its essence, instinctual, no conscience there. So I felt an existential crisis and I quit completely the career of a lawyer. This crisis came because I was trained to a particular set of trade, which was not very useful in any other endeavors I might start. So the only thing I would rely upon was on my sense of being creative and intuitive. These were two navigational tools that I had very well placed in my life, fortunately. So I chose to be an entrepreneur. So I began my first business, which was an advertising business. Eventually, I was a bit more creative and I developed a barter system in Mexico, which is a community of people who do business by trading. And eventually, I got interested in meditation, and this took me to psychology. As I was studying neurolinguistic programming, with the initial inclination to apply this to my business, I began discovering a particular aspect of myself that I didn't know that it existed. I found the marvelous experience of facilitating change onto others. And this was a triggering effect that took me into a very passionate stage in life of learning, engaging in healing modalities, delivering workshops, and eventually I found that I was doing what I do now. In hindsight, some years ago, I was contemplating this experience because, and going back to the spiral, I began as a lawyer with not very clarity on what I wanted, with this humanitarian aspect very well placed, of course. And I found that after the years and going upwards in this evolutive spiral, I found myself that I was satisfying the same values I had as a lawyer. I enjoy very much. I feel that my calling is to be of service to others. So initially, it was in a lower stage of this spiral, but my evolution, my personal evolution, took me to a place in which I was fully connected, fully aware of the world around, and very, very clear in my message to the world. Some traits might demand to be operating in a very primal stage of our existence, like if we are in the lower chakras, instinctual, physical, inclined to the basic instincts in life. And this is okay if we have a moral code. Of course, we are working very hard in that particular field of experience. Eventually, this evolution, our evolution in our orientation, takes us to a more subtle stages And suddenly there is a connection with the creative forces in my own life, the higher chakras. And as I progress in this fulfillment of my vocation, I can rise up to higher chakras and then begin to be more connected to the emotional realm, a realm that gives me the ability to be compassionate, to be connected to the other, to be empathic. Eventually, this highest evolution of my personal vocation, everybody's personal vocation, allows us to reach the higher chakras like the throat chakra, which is the voice of the self-expression, the genuinity of our own true self. And we can keep evolving ourselves into the higher chakras, and we then turn into visionaries, into leaders. And then we are aware that we are one with the universe. This is a spiritual promise in our vocational path because it is a journey, it is a process. We can be working in different kind of professions, inclined into a very primal kind of work, very physical, bricklaying, doing carpentry, something that is mechanic in essence, but it's fulfilling. And it doesn't matter if we are providing to our families in these regards, if this is helping us to evolve into a higher awareness of ourselves in order to evolve in this spiral. It doesn't matter if we are bricklayers, if we are aware of our calling in life, our message to the world, how we support the world around. So as you can see, this is a very interesting way of understanding the vocational process. I have another example, and this is because this is not linear, it has different interpretations, but the upward spiral movement is the same. I have a client who came to one of my retreats, and she reassociated such deep structures of self that she realized that her calling in life was to be a mother, although she is a businesswoman, she has her own business, her own company. So she decided that her main project was his single child. We helped her to create a home education system, which came very successful. And this lady was having such an experience, such a delight, such fulfillment into what she was doing, that she decided that she had to set up some strategies in her organization so she can enable more free time to her employees in order for them to take care of their families. So she created a whole initiative in her business with the idea to support the family aspect of her employees as well. Eventually, this lady is studying Holigral method. She wants to be a facilitator, and she wants to start a social responsibility movement in which she can lead other leaders into this path of thinking throughout her experience. So as you can see, the similar spiral movement is present. She found her own vocation, and from a particular personal decision, she decided to be of service to the world, initially to her son, but she wants to replicate this. So she is also evolving in this particular process of our vocation. So we have to understand that this process needs or can be accelerated. But how do we do this? What tools can we rely on in order to progress in this particular movement? Let's explore this through the hierarchy of needs from Maslow. First, we need to understand connection. This is paramount. If we are connected, there is no threat. Safety is not a question of lack of threat, but the presence of connection. We have to fulfill our fundamental needs. If we are connected to the source of willpower, of creativity, of understanding, in order to adapt ourselves and be resourceful so we can provide for our needs. Someone who is connected will have the clarity to fulfill the needs in a very natural way. Our physiology, which probably is more instinctual than sophisticated, we are eventually we're going to eat, we're going to defecate, we're going to sleep, and we're going to procreate. That's a given. When it comes to safety, when we have to provide an income, when we have to provide shelter, if we are connected, it's very easy to find the ways to fulfill it in a very natural way. If we are disconnected, we might turn greedy because we need to compensate our lacks, our deficiencies through compensatory behaviors. And so as we progress in this hierarchy of needs, if we are connected, we're going to feel this sense of belonging in every environment we are. We will have this sense of connection with the people around ourselves, and we will have very fulfilling and constructive relationships. But if we are not connected, the nature of our relationships is going to be a little bit toxic. We're going to be allowing toxic people in our life. We're going to conform to fill our voice with people that are not supportive to our visions. If we are not connected, our sense of self-reliance, of success, is not well fulfilled. So we'll have to be developing again some compensations, maybe some narcissistic tendencies or egotistic tendencies, because we need to feel very good about ourselves in an artificial way. Our sense of self-actualization, if we are connected, it's a trigger to discover the world, to attain new learnings, to discover new places, to connect with different people in order to expand our sense of what this life is about. But if we are not connected, we might indulge ourselves into a false sense of luxurious benefits. Having a big new car is not a self-actualization process, although it's very beautiful. So the first basic element for our orientation, whether it's in university, whether it is in our career, whether it is in our family expectations, has to be naturally, harmoniously aligning this set of needs. This is paramount for us to be healthy, as we have said. The society does not provide us healthy ways to fulfill these needs, so we have to create this ability. And how do we create this? This is very important as well. The first step is trauma resolution, reconnection with our true essence, and find our own archetypes. By reassociating the dissociated aspects of self, we are integrating our own true self, our own internal structures. Some traumatic experiences will dissociate us to the point that we are not connected with certain abilities needed to learn about ourselves, to know about ourselves, to know our truth. When we reassociate, when we reconnect, the true nature of our essence is present, and then we can find our own true archetype. The archetype basically is a frame of organization of our identity. If we are matching our true identity in this process, the windows to the world will open in a way that it's going to be very easy, very naturally, to orient ourselves to the different contexts that we belong to. Once this is fulfilled, we need to work in our decision-making process. And for that, we need two aspects that need to be aligned in between themselves. The first aspect is what we love. We need to make our decision process from this particular aspect of mind. And another aspect of mind is what are we good at? Are we good in technology? Are we good in physical, skillful activities? Are we good in communication? Are we very talented in dealing with the skill with our hands? Any kind of skill can work in order to align these two elements in our psyche. So when this is aligned, our natural calling is going to be fulfilled. Sometimes we don't need to hear our true calling. We just need to be intuitive in our decisions. And once this is set in place, if we're going to make an exploration in order to orient ourselves, we need to be aware of the context that this decision will entail. So we have to map the different fields in which I'm going to be working or I'm going to be interacting, and we need to generate insight. We need to understand, if we're going to make a decision, what it implies in order of the sacrifices, the commitments, the time engagement. We need to understand what is it that it's going to happen in the different stages in order for me to see with vision how is it that this is going to emerge. When these three elements are all working together, whether we are orienting ourselves in a very superficial way, and this works very well in this level of orientation, we can then make a good decisions for our professions or our careers. If we work more diligently and deeper in our structures, our most important vocation is going to emerge. Let me give you another example of how this works. I was working with a young man. He was a very achieved guitar player. He was able to play rock, to play jazz, to play Mexican folk music. And he was very much into being a full-time musician. His father, very loving and supportive, but a little bit emotionally projective, would project these judgments onto him. He would say from time to time that he would feel that his son will be a beggar if he would be a musician. He didn't want to see his son playing in a wedding band because that would be a failure. So you can imagine this young man being so enthusiastic with his love for music was being shut down and neglected in the very essence of his gifts, a natural gift that were given to him by this immense creation in which we are part of. So what we did first is reconnect this guy with his musical essence, and we certainly had to clean his own sense of identity and all these emotional aspects that were projected onto him. And then we did something very interesting. He was very skilled in computers as young generations are. So we work with these two aspects. He loves music and he's very good with computers. So what he chose for his vocation, it was so smart. He decided to study sound engineering. We mapped this field. So he understood that by being a sound engineering, he could develop a path in life, and his vision is to work in the best sound studios he can find in Mexico in order to enrich his set of skills. And once that happens, he wants to open his own studio. And his father was very happy as well because he now sees that his son is more intelligent than he thought he was. So eventually the father wants to be part of that entrepreneurial aspect of his son. So as you can see, sometimes it's not about conflicting ourselves about different options for our orientation. It's a matter of aligning ourselves to the very core of our essence, align ourselves with our identity, have clarity and connection to that we are good for, that in which we are very skilled. And once we have it, we need to map the world around, make use of all the information, all the sophistication we have achieved after so many years in living in this world, to make use of that information that it is already stored in our brains. And there is only one ethos when it comes to vocational decision, and it is this. If we do all out of love, if we love what we do, if we love who we do it for, that will be always the real orientation. Or vocational orientation, it's a spiritual process. It has to be integral in our lives. If we want to orient ourselves towards our true vocation, it has to be with love. Love for us and to others, love for the world. We need to keep this connection among so many challenges in the world at this present moment. And with this, dear friends, I think I've been very sharp on the time. I think it's 45 minutes. So I'll thank you for your time. And if you have questions, I'll be more than happy to interact with you a little bit if there's time, probably later after Nong's presentation, maybe.
Thank you, Gorky, for that beautiful presentation. And I think you changed, I think you deserve a round of applause. You
Thank you.
changed the way we see vocational orientation. The vocational orientation, I jotted down a few things, listening to ourselves with deeper passion. And you're so true, like we are so disconnected with nature, ourselves, people, and surroundings. And I think it's a fulfilling gift we have within ourselves that we do not listen to ourselves because we are unconsciously negotiating between our own true self, trauma, and the unstopping unconscious around the world. So I think what I like the most is the vocational orientation is upward spiral process. Yes, it is a spiral process, and we are on a continuous journey, and we love what we and need to do. And I think at the end, when you completely ended with such a nice tone, says we what we love and what we are skilled for. I think we need to match that, and that doesn't become a job; it becomes a career for life, and that is the passion out it comes. So let's map the field. Without we'll take the questions later. It was an amazing session. So we have another amazing coach who's doing a career session with us. We'll be doing another 45 minutes, and then we have the Q&A session. So we have our another coach from Cameroon. Nagong Hedwig Tevi is a certified career service provider and a workshop facilitator who leverages on innovative tools for self-discovery to help and inspire people every day and transform them from being stuck on the corporate ladder into forward-focused leaders who are on their way to the top. She is very good at sourcing out and onboarding new talents for the companies. Having been a professional job seeker herself, she taps from her experience in the job market to have a better insight of the challenges faced in the job hunt process. Founder of the leading Academy of Job Seekers and the CEO of Optics Teacher Training Institute, she works with hundreds of young professionals, preparing them on how to successfully fit into the ever-changing job market with ease. So let's welcome Tevi to the floor. Tevi, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you for that great introduction. I would like to appreciate the presence of the participants for this interactive live session. I'd like to equally appreciate the work of the organizing team and most especially to Arafat for this wonderful work to make us be able to sit on a platform like this and share knowledge and insights, interact with each other and get some new connections and so many other things. That said, like the previous presenter, like Jorge just presented, he was talking about the vocation, talking about the spiral nature of some vocations and so on. I would like to go into ascending the corporate ladder with you. So right away, we are looking at, I'll be taking you actually through a process where you can easily walk up to that highest point of the corporate ladder. So at the end of the presentation, we must have known the steps, we must have known what it takes, and we must have known how you will probably walk yourself through that path, advance your career that leads to that highest point of the corporate ladder. Your career is one of the most important aspects of your life, so much so that decisions centered around your career get to affect your health, they get to affect your well-being, they get to affect even your finances. And growth being a natural motivator for all of us humans, it is very important for you to consider advancing in your career because that will help you improve your job satisfaction. It will help open up new opportunities for you. And it will equally help in lightening up that continuous learning pathway for you, which you need, especially in this current dispensation. That said, I would like to share my slide. Just give me a moment. Let me share my slide. Oh. I am a little bit, I'm sorry for the mix up. I'm sorry for this mix up. Let me try to sort it out a little. Sorry for that mix up. Things like this get to happen. Okay, we are looking at ascending the corporate ladder, especially in today's dispensation. And I would like to say the corporate ladder in the traditional sense of the phrase is about you taking an entry position after graduation in a company and working your way up the rungs of the ladder of that company according to the definition, according to the hierarchy that is put in place by that company. And it's a lot about you waiting on promotions, working hard towards reaching that ultimate goal of the ladder or that ultimate end of the ladder. And this is a notion that is believed more by baby boomers who believed in achievement within the same company. The meaning of achievement to them was more of like working within the same company, working within the same company to be recognized, to be awarded, and their achievement at that moment is about reaching the top of the rungs of the company. Nowadays, we are working with millennials who make a great number of the workforce. A majority of the workforce right now is made up of people who have a different mindset, who believe more in working across, companies, and they don't believe that their sense of success, their sense of achievement can be fulfilled within the same company. And so to them, when they work in a company, maybe for 2 to 3 years, and they seem like they don't see a meaning out of what they are doing, they have to hop into another company for that. However, we will be looking at ascending the corporate ladder in slightly a different point. We are looking at it as you being able to sit down, craft out the meaning of success on your own terms, and then walk the ladder towards achieving that point, towards reaching that point of success which you have crafted for yourself. And whether you are within a company, whether you are across companies, it's all about you reaching an ultimate goal which fulfills what you want in life, which is meaningful to you. So we'll be looking at it from that other point of view. Let's just take a few minutes to respond to this. Which of these paints a clearer picture of your current career path? Is it climbing up the rungs within a company, or it's about you defining your own career path and working towards reaching an ultimate point which you've set for yourself? Or maybe you are not yet sure about it. I'm sure Arafat is going to help me with the poll, because let's just have some few minutes, about 2 minutes to work on that. And then we'll get to see the results. I think we can end the poll right away. I think we can end the poll for now. Okay, now, as we clearly see, the set of people who believe in crafting a career vision for themselves and working towards that ultimate point which they have defined for themselves is clearly more than the rest, which is proof of the fact that really we are made up of millennials with their own different mindset of how achievement should look like. And I want to say the major difference that exists between climbing up the rungs of a corporate ladder within the same company and the crafting a career vision for yourself is more of about the difficulty too, because when you are aiming for the highest rank of the corporate ladder within the same company, remember that there are fewer positions up there, and this makes the competition quite stiff. It makes it quite difficult, and at the end of the day, you might end up going on retirement, or you might reach the end of your career without seeing yourself at that top. However, defining a corporate ladder of your own is less of competitive, and it's about you working on your passions and skills. It's about you defining a career path and not just knowing the kind of jobs you might need to pick up while walking up towards that career ladder. I don't know, I keep seeing the results on the screen. I keep seeing the results on the screen. I don't know if it is on my part or. And whatever the case, let me just continue, even though I keep seeing the results on the screen. I don't know if I'm the one to take charge of it or. Okay,
No, it's
okay.
okay.
Okay, now. With all of this, either climbing up the corporate ladder within the confinement of the same company, or is it about you defining your own career path? It comes with challenges. It all comes with challenges. The first of challenges could be staying focused on your path. And this comes as a result of stress. Maybe you feel that the results are not seen as soon as you will want them to be seen, or you feel like there's a moment where you feel like you are actually not getting to where you want to get to, and you start losing focus on what you are doing. At times, some distractions, maybe because of financial needs, you get to see some opportunities, you get to see some jobs out there that offer you a pay package that is heavy, and you really want and need that money. But then it is important here that you look at your ultimate goal, look at the vision you are working towards, and focus on that. Eliminate distractions as much as possible. Train your brain to be able to focus on what is important for you. And at a certain point, you might need to draw up a list of the reasons why that ultimate goal is important for you, such that when moments like this come, when you feel distracted, when you feel like you are not walking towards that path, you go back to those reasons, and then it will get you going. The second thing is the lack of motivation. Motivation remains a key to pushing you towards achieving that goal. And at times you get to compare yourself maybe with others. You see that maybe some of your friends are well ahead of you. Maybe it's because I am following this particular path that my life is somehow stagnant, or I'm feeling stuck because I've chosen this particular path. But then at that moment, you have to go and revise the reasons why you choose that particular path in the first place. Look at the wins and celebration you've had in the past and focus more on that. It will get you going. And then we have the lack of confidence too. There are moments when you feel like you are not capable. There are moments when you feel like you might not reach that point because maybe you don't have the skills. Maybe you are looking up to somebody who's already matured in the field you are, and then thinking that you are not up to the task. But then it's good at this point that you focus more on your ultimate goal. Focus more on what you are working towards. Look at why you are into that path. Is it to create more social impact? Is it to balance up your work and life? At the end of it all, it's good that you have your focus, stick to what you are going to, and look at your past experiences to see the wins, the achievements you've had that will get you motivated, and then build up your confidence in self. And then the fear of failing. We all fear to fail. And when you begin a path that is somehow new to you, and you have an ultimate goal to reach, there are some moments when you feel like you might not be able to reach that point. But then think more of what you stand to benefit from it. So it all centers around your why. It all centers around the reason why you have chosen the path you are choosing. And then you see yourself and you get going. So now from the drawbacks, now let's get a look at the practical part of it. And it's about crafting a vision for yourself. Like Jorge quite said, it could be in spirals, it could be a straight line for you, it could take you to some other opportunities, it could take you across industries. But then it is very important for you to have a mental picture of where you are going. As it is often said, when you don't know where you are going, you might end up elsewhere. And because your work and life takes up more than half of your day, it is very important for you to make choices based on your passion, based on your interests, and based on your values. That is, you look back into your inner self. What are you passionate about? What are those things that you are actually interested in? What are the values that you like to stick to? Work on that, play around it, and you will be able to craft a vision for your career. Personally, I started off, I thought I was going to be a journalist, but due to some reasons beyond my control, I couldn't actually continue with it. But then when I graduated from the university, I had to pick up jobs here and there, and the jobs were totally unrelated to what I was doing in school. But in the course of doing those jobs, I am someone who loves to do a lot of craft. So I had to learn some crafts. I had to go into tailoring. I had to go into doing beads. I had to go into doing bags. But I didn't still feel that sense of fulfillment. And I sat down, I had to do a self-assessment on myself, but what am I really out for? What do I really want? And then it clicked in me that despite all this knowledge, despite learning some of these crafts here and there, it's more about me teaching another person and knowing that that person is going to succeed in life, maybe thanks to that craft. And so I realized that I was more geared towards creating impact in people. And it sparked up with my last job too, when I got to realize that each time I get up to go to work, I feel like asking myself, is it really what I want? Or is it because of the money that I am going there? And I finally realized that I needed to sit down and have a rethink and focus on a particular part. And that part is a part that is going to create more of impact in other people's lives. And so when you craft a vision, you are able to keep being motivated on those days that you don't feel like working. It helps, gives direction to your personal work and life. And when you have a vision that you are working towards, you are able to measure your progress as the days go by, as you keep advancing. And then in the course of that, you get to celebrate achievements because you will have some smaller goals that add up to that bigger goal you are looking at. Let's just take a look, ponder on this quote. You may spend your whole life climbing the ladder of success just to discover at the top that the ladder is leaning against the wrong wall. And this falls back to the point that you need to consider your passion, you need to consider your interests and your values, because at the end of the day, you might be pursuing a course and you reach the ultimate point of that course and realize that, but this thing is not even meaningful to me. I don't feel any sense of fulfillment here. And so it is very crucial here that you take into consideration these three aspects. while you are crafting out a vision for that career. Now, when you already have a vision of your career, you need to know your exact position. You need to where you are at that moment. And knowing where you are is about you identifying your current position to know the skills that you possess, to know the kind of certifications you already have, and to know the kind of jobs you've picked up along the way to see if they will help add up to the goals that will lead you to that ultimate point of success. And you are doing this because when you have an assessment of your skills, you are able to determine the gap that exists between the skills you already have and the skills you will need to have along that journey. You'll be able to know your strengths and your weaknesses such that you are able to know that you need to work on this particular weakness such that you are able to move or advance towards that ultimate goal. And then it will enable you to set some goals. So find out your position, find out where you currently find yourself along that career ladder such that you are able to determine what you will need to reach the ultimate point of success which you've defined for yourself, or within the same company. If it is in your case, if it's in the same company, you need to know your current position before you are able to know what it takes for you to reach the next position. Now, you have a vision or a mental picture of what you are going towards. You know exactly what you need to reach that ultimate point. It is important also that you conduct a research on a typical career path like the one you are following. Conducting research on a typical career path will help you to know the jobs that are associated to that path and to know maybe some people you can get connected to that are related to the jobs, or people who find themselves in the same career path like the one you are pursuing. And conducting this research will take you into conducting informational interviews. That's looking for maybe companies that will add up to that ultimate goal of yours, and reaching out to them to conduct informational interviews such that you know exactly what you are going into. You could choose to do a Google search on a typical career path. You could choose, or you could even choose to shadow somebody who is in that career path which you admire. And it is important that you get a mentor because he will help you track and pin you down to your goals, help you in the course of achieving those goals that add up to that career, that ultimate career goal. The main reasons why you need to conduct the research is because you get to have details about knowledge about how that career path looks like. You will get to know the different jobs that you can pick up such that when opportunities come your way, you are able to determine if this opportunity is one that I will need along this career path. And then you know also how much you will need to invest for you to reach that ultimate point. It equally helps you set up an effective plan towards achieving those goals and an insight into possible opportunities. Now you have a mental picture of your career path. You have a picture of where you are going to. You know exactly what skills you need to build up. You know exactly the kind of certificates that you might probably need to pick up along the way. And you know how much you might need to invest along that career path. It's time for you to set goals. It's time for you to make a plan, set goals and make a plan on how you are going to navigate that career path. It is very important, but then goal setting is a little difficult task, but we have to go into it because you need to play around the skills you have, play around the certificates you have, play around what you need, and set up smart goals, goals that you can easily achieve and measure such that you know the progress, you know how you are getting along that career path. So after doing a self-assessment, you should have a clearer idea when setting your career goals. Set short-term goals and long-term goals. Short-term goals are going to help you along the mini milestones that you've set for yourself, while reaching out for the bigger goal, while reaching out for the bigger picture. And short-term goals are a little milestones that are easier to achieve, and they will gradually lead you up to that point where you are aiming for. Just like setting goals, creating a plan is very important while seeking to advance in your career or while seeking to ascend that corporate ladder, because it will create a roadmap for you on how you are going to achieve what you aim for. It will create a roadmap. You will have an actual roadmap to follow when you create a plan for that ultimate goal. And it will allow you also to stay accountable and take charge of what you are doing, measure your achievements, measure the level at which you find yourself, and know if you still have much to do, or maybe you are approaching that ultimate goal which you've set for yourself. And all along, while doing all of these things, while crafting a vision for yourself, while conducting research on a typical career path, while working towards making a plan and setting goals to achieve, taking stock of the skills you have, it is important that you take note of some of these things. The first thing is for you to know that you will need to embrace continuous learning. Continuous learning in the present dispensation is very important for and it will help you stick to what is important along this path. And so when you embrace continuous learning, you are very sure that if there is a job or there is an opportunity that you find that you will need along that career path, and there are certain things that you need to learn in that new opportunity, you are quite ready for them, because deep in your mind, you know that your brand. People trust people. And in the recent years, companies have realized that people interact more with people, and the people believe in people more. So they are looking for personal brands, are looking for individuals with outstanding personal brands to be at the forefront of their companies to help engineer growth in those companies. And so when you manage your brand, when you get an outstanding personal brand, it leaves you open to some of those opportunities. It makes it easy for you to pick up some of those jobs that you need along your career path. So you will need to work on your personal brand while working or advancing towards that ultimate goal. The third thing for you to consider doing is to follow industry news and trends. Following industry news and trends will help you be up to date with what is happening around the industries you find yourself in, or around the industries with the jobs or opportunities that add up to that career goal. So it is important, it is very important for you to consider following industry news and the trends in the industry, to know the changes that are taking place, to know what things are new, to know what things are outdated, such that you stay on top of your game, such that you stay relevant in the game and work towards that ultimate goal that you've crafted for yourself. Also, you will need to build relationships and master professional networking. Networking with the right people remains a key in the professional world, because when you network with the right people, you get to know some opportunities, you get to have some job openings, And remember that about 60% of jobs are never advertised. They never reach the eyes of job seekers. And so the only way for you to get around here is for you to master networking with professionals in companies that you seek to work for, or people who are related in one way or the other to companies or industries that you admire to work for. Then comes mastery over self-discipline. It is your mastery over discipline. It is your discipline over yourself that will get you there. It helps in you, it will help you in achieving your goals. It will help you in focusing just on the things that you will need, on the right things, on the right opportunities, on the right skills that will help you reach that point where you are aiming for. And yes, 60% of jobs are never advertised. So it leaves the market with 40% in a competitive market at that. So a mastery over self-discipline will help you focus just on the things that are needed to advance into that point which you've crafted for yourself. Master over transferable skills. We should be reminded that employers more are looking for people who possess transferable skills. This is because of the changes that are taking place in the job market, the changes that are taking place in the economy, the disruption of the economy by technology. And so that's seeking some of those job seekers who are able to carry some of the skills they used in a particular position into another position. And so when you master transferable skills, it makes it easy for you to pick up some of those jobs or opportunities that will help you, that will engineer your advanced movement into that point which you have defined, into that vision which you've crafted for yourself. And on a final note, I would like to say that climbing up the corporate ladder is not always an upward movement. And like Jorge said, you might have to turn around. It can take you across industries, across different kinds of jobs, but then you need to focus more on where you are going to. Be ready to embrace continuous learning like we just discussed. And it takes determination and focus, discipline for you to experience growth in any aspect of your life. For you to experience advancement of any kind, you need to be determined, you need to stick to your goals, you need to be focused on the goals and embrace continuous learning wholeheartedly to be able to reach that point for yourself. So define success in your own terms. Conduct an assessment of your current position. Conduct research on a similar career path and set goals, making plans to accomplish those goals. I will have to leave you with a question here. Do you know your starting point? Do you know where you find yourself along that career ladder? Because it's only when you know where you are that you will be able to know or determine where or how you are getting to reach the point which you are aiming for. For the power to grow and advance in your career lies in your ability to embrace continuous learning, be consistent, focus on your path, and discipline yourself to do just the things that will engineer your forward movement towards that goal. Thank you.
Thank you, Tevi. It was a wonderful session, and Tevi talked about ascending the corporate ladder, and we talked about, as every career, we talked about our vision, and vision comes with passion, interest, and values, and we need to go through it in every phase of our life, not just in the beginning, because it's like a ring. We have to go through it all the time, and we have to ask the question. I think every 6 months we need to redefine and ask ourselves, are we doing, where we are going, and where we are headed. And she also talked about the research on the trends that's happening in the industry, which is very thing, because it is such a fluid industry that's ongoing. and changes are happening every day. So, and with the new chat GPT, like yesterday I was reading, the career thing is changing so fast. So we need to be on the top of it. So build your brands, as she said, build your brand and master over your discipline. I think discipline takes you to places, and most of us lack in that part. We know everything, but we don't master the discipline. So if you have any questions for both our coaches, please um, write here. So, or you can just unmute and ask them. We are here, and please go ahead. Any comments, any questions, you can just shoot or you can write in the chat. The beautiful comments on the comments chat sections, but if you have anything, we're very experienced coaches here. I had a really good question or more insight, like the way you, it's for Gorkhe, the Maslow's hierarchy, like you really defined into the way it took it into the other way of the chakra style. I could see the colors also going in that way. So to dig deep into vocational interests, like what tools do you use, like Gorky, as an individual? Like if I want to dig deep into self-actualization and I am very new to it, so what tips do you give me to like just dig deep into it?
Well, the most valuable ways in which we can self-actualize is to expose ourselves to different environments that will open our minds immediately. Maybe most of us in this particular webinar have had an experience in which we have traveled and we visited a foreign and strange complete land. And you can feel how in that particular moment, our senses are so open to receive all the information of whatever is it that we are perceiving. And we are engaging into understanding and how to adapt ourselves into these kind of environments. So I can relate to that experience because it's a very self-actualizing moment. Everything is open up to new learnings, new discoveries, even challenges. And my tip or my personal style would be to follow that same kind of experiences in life in order to expand our sense of boundaries. This is very important. Usually we speak about boundaries, but let's begin with understanding that they are boundaries, that they are fixed, and we do not cross. No? Like thou shalt not kill. That's a boundary. That's a no. And there are boundaries by its own nature, which they are flexible. They are flexible throughout time. They are flexible because of the circumstances, but also we need to understand, or we have to be wary of which of those are so flexible that we can bend them. We can allow them to explore or to expand to different dimensions. And there are some other boundaries that are needed to be eliminated in our life. So a self-actualization process, it's all about boundaries. If our set of boundaries is comprised to a very small sense of the universe, and that might not be able to provide us certain experiences, we have to look for them. There are many parables of someone who embarks into a journey and it's completely transformed. So self-actualizing is just jumping into the boat and just releasing the anchors and let the wind sail. No? So I think that's the most practical way of doing it. Of course, it will depend on our stage in life. No, we're certainly very fixed into our present commitments. If we are married, certainly I'm not going to leave my family away and look for adventures in another side of the world, visit new lands. I need to find something that is sustainable to myself. But nevertheless, we need to challenge. There is also this idea that the thing that we hate the most is the thing that we have to face with most intensity, because that's where our fears are, our limitations are. So we need to be also wary of that particular aspect, which lies also in the shadow. We try to reject certain aspects in our life. We have to be mindful. What is it that the present moment is asking for myself? Is it an opportunity of self-actualizing? Is this a moment for breaking these boundaries? Maybe not. Maybe for a safety reason, I need to reject it. But I have to be very mindful in order to grasp those opportunities, to seize the moment. So that, I think, it's a very practical way of be constantly self-actualizing.
Thank you. Very well said. Yes, I think we all need to deep dive more into it, which I think we most of us ignore. Thank you so much, Gorky. My question is to Tevi as well. Like, I think I just want to clarify. I know we have time limit and all, and most of the time, like we talk about transferable skills, and we most of the time when we have a lot of experiences as human beings over the years, and when we need to define transferable skills, we a bit shy away from it. So can you give an example of the client or somebody, like you have transferable skills, like any skills, like you can use it in different areas or something, people shy away from it and we don't want to talk about it, or we have, most of the time we shy away from using our transferable skills. So as a coach.
Yeah, we have skills like critical thinking. We have skills like communication. We have skills like being a team player and leadership. These are some of the skills that are transferable, which you can use from one industry to another or from one job position to another. So basically, these are some of the skills: critical thinking, you have communication, you have leadership, you have communication, you have leadership, you have team building, being a team player, being able to work within the confinement of a team. And yeah, basically, these are some of the skills. Yes, writing skills. Writing is part of communication. So communication entails speaking, writing, using even graphics. Yeah, so writing is part of communication.
Thank you, Tevi. Yes, most of the time, like we undermine ourselves most of the time. So I think we need to promote ourselves and build our brand. So let's do that. Any other questions? Any comments? Using memes, yes. Okay, we need to do that. Humor in our lives.
There's this, I think there's this interesting moment in life, particularly if we're looking for a new career. And this is just a common discussion of what's going on in the world, that there are a very huge number of professions that are not yet invented. I mean, there is such an advancement in so many disciplines in life now that there will be the need for different jobs that we cannot even imagine. So how do we face this challenge? How do we understand this environment? So the world is amazing in many ways, no? So I think that it comes both to vocation and also the skill to navigate through these complex structures of different working positions, no? So I think that the need for self-actualization, it has to be just hands-on, because we don't know, maybe the next profession we are going to embark on is not even invented. It is the case in my personal case. The work I do, it's not chartered. Sometimes they tell me, okay, who certifies your work? Nobody understands the kind of work I do because it's so innovative. So there are many fields of endeavor that it's going to be the same. So it's amazing the challenge we have, but also the gifts of being up to the task. No, we have to be ready for the challenges.
Already.
If I can add to this, yes, so very well said. And by the way, first of all, congratulations, great speakers. And this is, it has been great to connect with you again. Very thoughtful, insightful, that we all, especially after the COVID, many of us, many people around the world, they are, they need to work on the transferable skills. And to add to your point, Jorge, I think that is where the mindset also comes in, and having a strong belief in yourself that will help you to have that confidence and courage and to take the challenge that you can do it, and then just doing it on the side while you're having some other profession, and then building up your brand and with consistency. So that can really help someone who is trying to, build or change their professions, or doing something that is very unusual, as you just mentioned, believing in themselves and then just doing it. There's so many examples around in the world. Thank you. Thank you for mentioning this. Thank you, Horing.
Thank you.
Any questions, any comments before we close?
Sessions like these, and they, bring so much enforcement even within us, like as mentors or coaches, again, reminding, because everyone requires reminders. So thank you for all the insights that you bring in. Thank you. Great sessions. And Sandeepa, we are looking for your session tomorrow now.
Excited.
Thank you, Ramanda. Thank you, Gorky, and thank you, Tevi, for a wonderful session. If you don't have any questions, yes, we're talking about career, and it's also related to like wellness and things we talked about, and it comes deep into it. And tomorrow it's more technical because I'm talking about resumes, and so I think let's tune into that. So tomorrow I'll be talking about building your resume. So it will be more of a technical thing. So let's talk about that. And I hope I can share some technical things about it. So saying that, let's meet tomorrow. Thank you so much for today. Again, once again, Gorky and Tevi, amazing session, very insightful. And thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.